This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 683. Hello, it is Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Today, Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, plus it's the return of WOW SCHATZ WOW, where we look at some interesting facts that have to do with today's really wealthy, popular people that you may not know about. And there was treasure found in Florida. Mike's Daily Podcast. We'll get into that. And then I wanted to tell you about two people that I love. Mike's Daily Podcast. The disgruntled fiddle player and Benita, the rodeo queen, officially not invited me over for breakfast, but that's okay. We're still family. I don't care that they dislike my bald head. My name is not Fred. It's Mike. That was on yesterday's show if you care to go back and listen to that. Mike's Daily Podcast. And I know I sometimes tell you about my Netflix watching habits. Mike's. And lately, daily, I've been fixed podcast on Archer. Yeah! A cartoon. A grown man watching a cartoon where they are using grown man language. But as I was watching, I was thinking about, well, that and, that show's on FX. And then if you watch a lot of shows on Comedy Central, there seems to be, I may have mentioned this before, but the words that are being used, they're I don't know if they even have any censors involved anymore. On Archer, for example, there's this one character, whenever she's surprised, she says, "Oh, snacks." Which I don't know about you, but quite frankly, I don't want to have one of those. And they say that over and over again. It's sort of like, why?
We're saying it because we're FX and we're edgy and we appeal to white, middle-aged men.
Okay. And then Comedy Central has that show that I really enjoy called At Midnight. But even they stoop so low, which they are first to admit, but they were talking about Star Wars and like bad Star Wars ideas for the next Star Wars they're making. And one of the guys says, C-3PO getting by a Roomba. And it's just words, but they're basically taking all the words George Carlin talked about on that list and using them and making sure that they use them. It's like the talking points that they have to hit on Fox. You've got to hit this. This is the memo today. These are the words you need to hit. Make sure you involve these in each and every one of the shows that we have that appeal to frat boys, which I am not. Am I a little jealous that I didn't get to be in a frat? Well, the frats at my school were awful, quite frankly, and it's much better to be on my own. I'm kind of a loner. As you see, this show is DIY. I do it all by myself. I don't need a bunch of fraternity friends helping me.
But I am so alone.
And I was thinking about words today, and I was reading the latest Time magazine issue about the 100 people who are the most influential and annoying. And it has people, they're talking about the most influential people, and each article is written by somebody who is in the same field as said person or knows said person or in some way is affiliated with them. And of course, one of the influential people would be David Koch and Charles Koch, the Koch brothers, the billionaire activists driving conservative politics. And Karl Rove wrote this particular thing about the Koch brothers. Now, when he writes, and when many conservative writers write about other conservatives, they make sure to use certain words, certain charged conservative-esque words that just make Republicans so happy. So I'm going to ding this bell every time I say one of those words. First off, it was written by Karl Rove. There's one word right there. David and Charles Koch are patriots. By grit, persistence, and hard work, they built a $100 billion a year business that employs tens of thousands. They give generously to medical research, the arts, education, think tanks, and science. You know what think tank that they're giving money to. Heritage Foundation. They care deeply about the values that make success in America possible. Free markets, freedom, limited government, and competition. This has led them to the political arena, where they give tens of millions and raise hundreds more to back candidates and causes. For this, they have been excoriated by the left, while the left remains hypocritically quiet when George Soros, Tom Steyer, and other left-of-center rich spend to influence politics. The Kochs have answered abuse with courage, giving encouragement to others on the center-right to get into the fight. Bless them for all they do and all the liberals they send into orbit. Rand Paul also listed as one of the most influential, and Mitch McConnell wrote this little ode to him. Any political party worth its salt is always on the lookout for converts, but no one in either party today brings the level of missionary zeal to the task that Rand Paul does. From Berkeley, California to Detroit, my Kentucky colleague has been cheerfully clearing a path for Republican ideals in the unlikely precincts that he has been to, and he's done it with rare magnanimity, making common cause with anyone who agrees that an all-powerful government in Washington is a threat to individual liberty and to the American project itself. He has also embraced the 11th commandment, made famous by Reagan: not to speak ill of any fellow Republican. Spend 5 minutes with Rand, and it's clear he doesn't care what you look like or where you've come from. He's beating the bushes for anyone who prizes liberty, and he's forcing people to rethink the Republican Party. He's showing them we're as serious about the Bill of Rights today as we were in 1860 when another Kentucky Republican built our party's first great coalition. He's having fun too, and that's contagious, says Mitch McConnell. Look who just walked in.
Hello, my good masters. This is Madame Rootabega, and I dated Mitch McConnell back in high school.
Oh, that was a long time ago. So what was he like back then?
He was very nice, kind of like a redneck turtle, but I enjoyed hanging out with him.
That's good. Did he try to, get to first base with you?
He doesn't know what that is.
He doesn't, or you don't?
Both.
Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we love the Rand Paul, as you know, so don't make fun of him and quit dinging that bell there.
Yeah, we want Rand Paul and Ted Cruz to become one politician and be president together, and they be Rand Cruiser. Do you know that?
Rand Cruiser. That's so... I don't know. What? How are you going to combine the two? You going to splice genes or something?
Yeah, well, the miracle of science today, you can do all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, we would, torture them and splice them together and sew them like a big Frankenstein. Do you know that?
Doesn't sound very pleasant for either one of them, or for my ears for hearing that. Although that's still better than hearing snacks.
Mike, I don't like it. All the characters on that cartoon have the actors voicing them really like they're loud and shouting. Do you know that?
Well, kettle meet the pot. A deep ocean exploration company in Florida has recovered a huge pot. No, they have recovered nearly 1,000 ounces of gold. Probably needed a pot-like substance to bring that up to the surface, I would imagine. Or, a scooper of some sort. A pooper scooper? Oh, wait, I thought I was writing for FX all of a sudden. Or Comedy Central. According to Reuters, this gold is worth $1.3 million at current gold prices. This came from a historic shipwreck in the Atlantic Ocean. The dive confirmed that the ship had not been disturbed since 1991, when another company stopped recovery work. The shipwreck is actually from 1857. It had 21 tons of gold aboard, and it hit a hurricane off the coast of South Carolina. It actually sparked a U.S. banking panic. The recovered gold included 5 gold bars and 2 $20 double eagle coins. An 1857 coin minted in San Francisco, and an 1850 coin minted in Philadelphia. $40 million worth of gold was recovered by the original team led by Tommy Thompson, an Ohio engineer who discovered the shipwreck in 1988 using sonar and robotic technology that he had developed. The recovery efforts were derailed by lawsuits and investors accusing him of failing to pay them. He has been considered a fugitive since 2012 when he failed to appear in court for a hearing. Only about 5% of the shipwreck site was explored in the late 1980s. The 2-hour reconnaissance dive in mid-April took place as the company's research vessel Odyssey Explorer was traveling from the UK to Charleston, the company revealed today. Odyssey Explorer left Charleston recently to begin the bulk of recovery work at the shipwreck, 160 miles off the South Carolina coast and 7,500 feet deep. The 280-foot sidewheel steamship carried as much as 21 tons of gold bars, freshly minted gold coins, and raw gold from the California mines, as well as the personal wealth and belongings of its 477 passengers, most of whom were lost when the ship sank. And when that ship sank and the gold was lost, it did cause the Panic of 1857, which was a big banking panic and economic crisis that lasted several years. Isn't history wonderful? It's so American. Makes me feel patriotic. What do you think about this shipwreck? Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And check out the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. There's links to where to listen to this show in iTunes. Subscribe to this show and you can rate and comment on the show there, as well as there are links to where to catch the show on Facebook, the Facebook page. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends so more people find out about us. There's also links to where to find us on Twitter, Yelp, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, Mixcloud, YouTube. We also have the Amazon deal of the day. Click on that and buy something, and that helps us out too, and you get a great discount on whatever they're selling. And there is also the Mike's Daily Podcast Radio, where you can hear great music and past podcasts all mixed together, playing day and night at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. You'll find that on the left-hand side of the page, as well as the blog and the daily podcast picture at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com.
Wow, Schatz, wow.
So when my mom finds out something that surprises her, she says to me, "Wow, Schatz, wow," because she calls me Schatz, because I am also the name of a large whale at a amusement park that mistreats its that's not what Schatz means. It's actually German, and it means treasure, which I've explained 1,000 times to the listener that has been listening to every single show I've ever done, and I apologize. But now everybody else knows, so everybody else is in the pool and joining us. And no sea life has been harmed in the making of this segment. And let's kick off this Wow Schatz Wow, where we're discussing some interesting stories that have to do with entertainment and how we entertain ourselves.
Near the village, the peaceful village, the lions sleep tonight. Near the village, the quiet village, the lion sleeps tonight.
That is Billy Joel singing with Jimmy Fallon, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, recently. And speaking of Jimmy Fallon, he's having some success, you may know. Late night ratings aren't the only thing that perpetually fresh-faced comedian Jimmy Fallon is dominating these days. According to the New York Observer, the newly minted Tonight Show host is toasting his success by expanding his footprint at 34 Gramercy Park East, the red brick co-op where he already owns 3 units. Mr. Fallon and his producer wife, Nancy Juvonen, have closed on a top-floor 4-bedroom for $1.35 million, intending to build a triplex. Mr. Fallon is no stranger to the real estate market, having carved out a nice duplex for himself by snapping up a $1.35 million two-bedroom in 2010 to complement the spread he had amassed over the years. The former SNL star bought into the building in 2002 with a $850,000 one-bedroom, which he augmented with a three-bedroom down the hall that he paid $1.5 million for in 2004. His experience showed in his transaction. The apartment had been listed for a little more than a month when Mr. Fallon inked a contract with a nice discount on the $1.57 million asking price. The apartment is a wreck, and it'll need to be gut renovated. The unit, part of an estate that was left as a charitable donation to St. Lawrence University in 2010, belonged to the same owner for decades. The apartment's less than mint condition, however, was likely not a huge concern for Mr. Fallon and Ms. Javonen, given the major work necessary to convert a duplex into a triplex. And what the apartment lacks in polish, it makes up for in a stunning view of Gramercy Park. Oh, that's Ice House from the 80s, one of my favorite Australian bands. Okay, so speaking of street cafes, the math is simple. A restaurant, at best, might make a 15% profit in New York City, or 18% if it's wildly successful. There are a lot of expenses connected with running a restaurant: labor, food, insurance, taxes, PR, and much more. A restaurateur could start out paying 5% of gross revenue to rent. If the rent doubles, which it does in New York City, as is not unusual, and probably not unusual in other places like San Francisco, the monthly rental nut becomes 10% and eats up a third of the profit after the next rent increase. You're working for the landlord. This according to the New York Observer. Well, some places get by passing the enormous burden on to their customers. For example, the Waverly restaurant charges for a side order of hash browns and a cup of coffee the total $11. To make matters worse, the city is filled with rich people looking for vanity projects and write-offs. Marco Canora, one of the great owner-operators, looks beyond the abstract issue of rising rent. He says the real problem is that, my God, there is no shortage of people who want to open up a restaurant in your space. New York is an anomaly in that there are all these big whale investors who have money that needs to be spent. They are not really creating a viable business model, which makes it hard for us. Just a few blocks from Canora's restaurant, Hearth, there are two brand new expensively appointed tapas bars. Both are tiny and have pretty much no chance of making money. Remember, a restaurant can't earn a penny until its opening costs are paid off. For a nice new restaurant created from the ground up, even a little one, that can take years. It's impossible, said one restaurateur who is locked in a legal battle with his landlord. I've already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm never going to get that back. I'm an independent owner. How am I going to get a reasonable lease when this one is up? Even if I win, I will be out of business. He gets more animated as he goes. I don't care. I won't give up. We've done everything right here. We've put everything we had into this place, and it makes money. But the real estate matters more than the people that make it what it is. It's crazy. Now, on the other side of the scale, the current squeeze has been a big boon to the lowest rung of the restaurant business, fast food. McDonald's or Taco Bell can afford its rent easily. Aside from having vast resources, it doesn't take up much space, has minute food costs, and does a ton of takeout business. It also sells food all day long and not just a few hours in the afternoon or the evening. Karma McDermott of the Chef Agency, a culinary headhunter firm, says, I think blaming the rent can be kind of a cop-out, actually. Yes, the rent is more expensive, meat is more expensive, dairy is more expensive, everything's more expensive. Why should rents be different? To Ms. McDermott, it's more a question of the right concept for the right place. She points to the success of the Red Farm restaurants in the West Village of New York and on the Upper West Side as small enterprises that have thrived in expensive neighborhoods thanks to a credible business plan. Red Farm, a green market Chinese concept, has a huge turnover. The place can feed 1,000 people a day. It has a good lease, it didn't cost a fortune to build, and it had Jeffrey Chodoro behind it to carry it over the rocks of its early days. He has Joe Ng, one of the country's best dim sum chefs, and Ed Schoenfield, the ultimate Chinese restaurant guy.
Must I be man in a suitcase? Is it me, man with the stranger's face? Must I be man in a suitcase? Is it me, man with the stranger's face?
Oh, it's tough to be a man in a suitcase. Slava Rubin, CEO of crowdfunding platform Indiegogo, he says about T-shirt marketing and in-flight productivity the following, according to Fortune.com. He says, Indiegogo has its headquarters in San Francisco, but marketing and other functions are in New York, so typically I'm going back and forth almost every week. I probably did 150,000 to 200,000 miles last year. But I want to put an and in every number I see. When I fly, I always wear an Indiegogo t-shirt, he says. I am totally known in my office for this. I do it because it's a comfortable shirt, but also because when you're traveling, you're obviously passing by a lot of people. So there's a little bit of subliminal advertising going on without me having to spend too much money on my marketing budget. Haha. Like everybody in the world's going to see Slava Rubin. Actually, that's why I bought a t-shirt for Mike's Daily Podcast, which has already gotten really dirty and has stains in it now that I can't get out. Don't ask me how the stains got there. I was gardening. I don't tell people I'm the company's co-founder, he says. I say I work there. Then, if they ask, I say I work on the business side. And then, if they ask further, I say, "But the f*** out." No, he says, I say I'm the CEO. I'm definitely not in the camp of, I'm CEO, bitch. He also says, I don't think I've checked a bag in 14 years. It's really important to have a smart carry-on, and I always pack light and dress in layers instead of having to be prepared for 8 different weathers with 8 different outfits. You can prepare for 8 different weathers with 3 or 4 items of clothing, he says. I'll have to try that sometime and see if he's right. Be the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy from Ventura, California. They used to play downtown all the time, and they got popular with that song. And we all remember when. But I'm talking about here about GoDaddy. Not GoDaddy-O, just GoDaddy.com. They had quirky marketing and attentive customer service, but weak product development, according to Fortune.com. It boasted an impressive footprint in the U.S., yet had made virtually no effort to do business beyond its native shores. However, the biggest opportunity by far was in changing how the Scottsdale-based company addressed its customers. The CEO of the company says women, that would be Blake Irving, by the way, he says women run 58% of small businesses in the U.S., yet GoDaddy had built its reputation on a series of Super Bowl TV ads beginning in 2005 that were overtly sexist. The attention-grabbing spots were blatant attempts to generate chatter about a product that its founding CEO Bob Parsons thought was boring. And while the strategy worked gloriously in making GoDaddy the subject of water cooler conversation everywhere, never has a company had as big a gap between what the ads say and what the company is, says CEO Blake Irving. Despite having been purchased by private equity firms led by Kohlberg, Kravis, Roberts, and Silver Lake Partners only 2 years ago, GoDaddy is already expecting to go public sometime this year. Irving is transforming GoDaddy by focusing the company on very small businesses and their unique digital needs. He says Microsoft thinks of small business as 50 employees and under. And he, in fact, worked at the software giant for 15 years. He says our definition is 5 or under. 85% of businesses in America have 5 or fewer employees. He adds, and most of those are sole proprietorships. With 12.1 million customers who pay an average of $125 a year for GoDaddy services, the company is neither young, it was founded in 1997, nor small. Irving has been using a combination of cash flow and debt to bulk up. He has made 5 acquisitions, each designed to provide a digital service that gives tiny companies the prowess of larger entities. Loku, for example, lets merchants get found on multiple web services like Google, Bing, Yelp, and OpenTable. It helped that Irving, despite his big company roots, was something of an internet tinkerer himself and already a GoDaddy customer. Before becoming CEO, he owned 49 domains managed by GoDaddy, including StopDoingThat.com and, yes, StartDoingThat.com. Neither is a developed site today. In fact, Irving believes that opportunity lies in the solo operator who is, quote, established and content, but has no website. Nowhere are the company's changes more apparent than its advertising. This year's Super Bowl ads focused on entrepreneurs, not eye candy. Wow. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. There you go. That's WOW SCHATZ WOW. Just in time for Mother's Day, coming up in less than a week. That's Mom's segment on Mike's Daily Podcast.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And the picture is of myself there at Christie Field, and you get this beautiful view of the Golden Gate Bridge when you are there, and I'm standing in the water, and I'm a bit cold. I've got my big fleece coat on and my hat, and that wind just blows right through that little valley there, and you get kind of chilled. But it's a cool, beautiful place. Check it out. Christie Field, if you have not done that yet in San Francisco, it is definitely something to do. See the picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com and my cool red sunglasses.
Mike and Master, I just found out what first base is, and I think I have done that. This is Mitch McConnell.
Oh. How was it?
I never kissed and tell. It was okay.
Tomorrow it is the return of the much-loved feature Into an Interview, where we'll be speaking with Laurel Poten. She's got a lot of potential. She's very potent. Okay, stop. She is a very interesting person who has had some amazing travels and knows a ton about Alameda County, where Podcastro Valley resides, and you could say she is an East Bay enthusiast. I'll be speaking to her tomorrow, as well as we'll be hearing from Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Madame Rootabega, it's so amazing. You know, you've lived forever. You never get old. You've known all these major leaders in different times of their lives. You knew Mitch McConnell before he was married.
Yes, Mike and Master.
We want to be clear about that, so like no scandal or anything like that was caused by Mike's Daily Podcast.
Yes, Mike and Master. The only trouble that was caused by today's show was Bison Bentley's annoying voice. I don't have an annoying voice. It's beautiful. Do you know that?
Thank you, Bison. We stand corrected.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Land Cruiser Day.